Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There has been recent event in Malaysia when a 41 years old man married a girl when she was just 11. And there's a huge debate in different circles of society that what is the stance of Islam on this matter and how Muslim ulamas and scholars see the problem of child marriage in general. I just want to share opinion of my teacher Javed Ahmed Ghamidi on this topic as per my understanding. People who are usually defending this act by giving the example of Sayyidina Ayesha anha marriage, which was totally misunderstood and completely wrong analogy of one of the historical events. Mr. Ghamidi has proved in his article with the rational, logical and historical evidences that Sayyidina Ayesha was 16 years old when she got Aqd al-Nikah with the Prophet, and she was 19 years old when she started living with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So people were defending and justifying the act of child marriage with this wrong analogy and completely misunderstanding of one of the historical narration. This is something which is totally unacceptable in the world of knowledge. There is another question people usually ask: if Quran did not specify any certain age limit for Muslim men and women to get married and leave this topic and details on the intellect of mankind to decide themselves what is the appropriate age of marrying someone, then why and how any legislative body, government, parliament or state get the right to make the law and define the legal age of marriage, and what are the basis of these sort of legislation? I just want to tell the two basis of this sort of legislation. Number one, if any act which taught or usurps the right of any individual. And second thing is that any act which is against the life, wealth, or honor of any individual, then the government or the parliament or the state has the right to make the law on this matter. So when you are marrying some underage girl, even if she reaches to the puberty, this is an infringement of a right. Infringement of a right to choose her life partner. It must be her decision to choose a person she wants to spend her life with. And at this age, she was unable to make an informed and composed decision in this regard. People usually defend the act of child marriage saying that we have a consent of that little girl when we marry. So I just want to ask them, do you ever give your car keys to your small kid and allow him to drive the car on the highway with his consent? You will never do this to him. Why? Because you know by this act you are risking his life and maybe someone else's life on the highway. So what about the life of that girl? When you marry her and she is physically not strong enough to give a birth to a child, so that means you're harming her life and maybe the life of the child. And she is neither psychologically nor physically eligible to give a birth, to raise the child, and to make the decisions of a life which was needed in the married life. So the basis of this sort of legislation is a moral principle, and Islam emphasizes the Muslim to follow the law of the land and to keep themselves away from any unethical act, any immoral act. And this is a huge sin if you violate and destroy the rights of any person. This is totally unjustified. So the summary of the opinion of my teacher Javed Ahmed Ghamidi is that the child marriage is something which is not allowed in Islam, which is against the teaching of Islam, and Muslims should keep themselves away from these sort of immoral act, unethical act, and a great sin.